After my husband's promotion party, his mother told me he got that raise because he finally stopped letting you distract him. I laughed until my husband added, "She's kind of right." I left without a word. 3 days later, HR called him in for a mandatory meeting because I'd just been hired as his direct supervisor at a competing firm. And I wasn't there to distract him, just to replace him. I met Ryan in Pittsburgh when I was 25. I was new to the city, still unpacking a rough breakup, still figuring things out. Ryan had a decent job in logistics and seemed stable. He wasn't loud or flashy, just solid, dependable. I liked that. We dated for a year before moving in together. Got married 2 years after that. He wasn't overly romantic, but he was kind to me back then. Supportive enough. And after what I'd been through before him, supportive enough felt like a dream. At first, everything seemed normal. I had a job doing freelance data work for local businesses. A year in, I got hired full-time at a growing analytics firm. They worked closely with manufacturing and supply chains. I loved it. I was good at it. Ryan didn't show it, but I knew the change bugged him. He was making good money, but I was catching up. Then I passed him. The joke started after that. "You have fun playing with your spreadsheets?" Or, "Wish I got paid to talk all day." Or, my favorite, "Good for you. Someone's gotta be the cheerleader." I laughed the first few times. Told myself he was just being playful. But he never stopped. He never gave me a real compliment about work after that. His mom, Susan, wasn't much better. Susan was one of those women who never raised her voice, but always made you feel like a dog tracked mud on her white carpet. She'd compliment my outfit and then say, "It's nice you don't mind dressing young for your age." Or if I brought dessert to a family dinner, she'd smile and say, "How cute, a store-bought pie." The worst part? Ryan never stood up for me. Not once. He'd say things like, "She's just old school," or "She means well." Sometimes he'd just nod along like I wasn't even there. Things really changed when he started chasing that promotion. Senior Regional Manager. He wanted that title like it would change his life. He worked late, skipped dinners, and if I asked about his day, I'd get one-word answers. Still, I supported him. I picked up the slack at home. I handled the bills. I even helped him prep for meetings sometimes. I believed in him even when he didn't believe in me. And when he finally got that promotion, I threw him a party. We hosted it at our place. I cleaned, cooked, catered, the whole thing. 30-something people showed up, coworkers, friends, some of mine, some of his. That's when Susan showed up, dressed like she was going to a country club meeting. She walked over to me, holding her champagne like it was a trophy, and smiled. Well, I guess he finally got there once he stopped letting you distract him. I blinked. I thought she was joking, so I laughed. Like a fool. That's when Ryan, my husband, looked at me and said, "She's kind of right." Right then, something inside me just clicked off. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just felt this cold wash over me, like everything that came before suddenly made perfect sense. I went upstairs, grabbed a weekend bag, and left without a word. No drama, just silence. I stayed with my cousin in Cranberry Township for 3 days. She didn't ask questions. She just let me be. That's when I remembered the email. 6 months earlier, a recruiter from a competitor had reached out to me. Keystone Freight Solutions. They were expanding and needed someone to lead a new analytics division in Pittsburgh. At the time, I turned them down. I didn't want to leave my current job, and honestly, I didn't want to overshadow Ryan more than I apparently already had. That changed after the party. I reached back out to the recruiter. Told him I was ready to talk. He set up a meeting the next day. They didn't need to interview me again. They already had an offer ready. They gave me the title, Director of Strategic Operations. Higher pay, better benefits, more control. But the real kicker? My first assignment was to oversee a team working on optimizing regional freight strategies, directly overlapping with Ryan's market. Our goal was to take over client accounts in the area. That meant evaluating competitors' weaknesses. That meant evaluating managers, including him. When Ryan got called into that HR meeting 3 days later, he thought it was a standard onboarding for a new client. Instead, he was told that Keystone had hired someone to oversee evaluations for his region, and that due to conflict of interest guidelines, he had two options: accept reassignment to a non-competitive region, likely in West Virginia or Ohio. Step down. He was stunned. I know, because he texted me, "What the hell is this?" I didn't answer. Instead, I emailed him a copy of the formal memo Keystone sent to his company. It had my name on it. It was cold. No greeting. No message. He quit 2 days later. Too proud to take the demotion. No severance. No thanks. His mom called me that weekend. "You've ruined his life," she snapped. "You did this out of spite." I let her talk. Let her yell. Then I said, "You're kind of right." So Ryan was out of a job. I didn't hear from him for a week. Then I got a text at 2:17 a.m. Hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. 2 days later, I got a message on LinkedIn from one of his old coworkers, Dave, someone I barely knew. "Hey, sorry about all the drama. Ryan's been telling people you planned this the whole time. That you only married him to get access to his company's network. Pretty wild story he's spinning." I was pissed, but not surprised. The one thing Ryan always did well was shift blame. If something went wrong, it was never him. It was me, his boss, his coworkers, the weather, whatever. Now that he had nothing, he was making me the villain. Fine. I didn't respond to Dave either, but I saved the message. The following Monday, something strange happened. My new team, at Keystone, started getting odd emails. Blank submissions. Errors in shared files. Client numbers were getting mixed up. I double-checked everything on our end and couldn't find the source. But it was clear someone was messing with us. Then one of our newer clients called and said they'd been approached by someone familiar with both companies offering them a cheaper deal. Someone who knew our weaknesses. Guess who? Ryan. He'd gone rogue. Probably using old client lists and backdoor contacts. It was unethical. And probably illegal. So I did what I should have done earlier. I printed everything. Every message. Every client note. I forwarded the LinkedIn message from Dave. I compiled it into a nice, neat file and handed it to Keystone's legal team. 2 days later, they hit him with a cease and desist and threatened legal action for corporate interference. That should have ended it. But Ryan was like a trapped animal now. Angry. Desperate. He started emailing me from different addresses. Not threats. Not directly. Just long, pathetic rants about how I humiliated him. How I'd always wanted to be the man. How I ruined everything. One of the emails said, "I should have never let you believe you were smarter than me." That one stuck with me. Because I realized he never believed we were equals. He never saw me as a partner. Just a stepping stone. Something useful, until I outgrew him. I finally blocked every email, every number. But he found other ways. He started showing up at the gym I go to. Not doing anything. Just being there. Staring. Then leaving. It was legal. Creepy, but legal. Until he followed me to my car one night. I didn't say anything. I just got in and locked the door. He walked up to my window. I didn't roll it down. He mouthed the words, "You made me nothing." I drove away. Next day, I went to the police and filed a restraining order. Showed them the emails. The gym footage. The client contact reports. Everything. They took it seriously. The order was granted. Now he legally couldn't come within 200 feet of me or my workplace. That should have been it. But I had one more move left. Because even though Ryan was unemployed and bitter, he still had one thing he cared about: his reputation. So I went public. Carefully. Legally. Keystone ran a feature on their new leadership team on LinkedIn. I didn't write the article, but I approved the quotes. And I made sure mine was clear. I'm proud to help build a company that values integrity, respects talent, and doesn't punish people for being strong. It didn't name him, but everyone in our industry knew what it meant. Suddenly, the job offers Ryan had been hoping for, they dried up. Word spread. Nobody wants to hire a man who was outmaneuvered by his wife, tried to sabotage her company, and got caught. I didn't respond when he tried to reach out again, this time apologizing, telling me he was broken and didn't know what he was doing. He knew. He always knew. So that should have been the end of it. Right? It wasn't. About a month after the LinkedIn article went up, I got a call from HR. Not at Keystone, at my old job. Hey, the HR manager said. We need to talk about something strange that came across our desk. Apparently, someone had sent an anonymous complaint to my former company, accusing me of stealing proprietary data when I left. Said I took internal reports and shared them with a competitor, Keystone. The kicker? The complaint came with attachments. Real reports. Modified to look like I'd forwarded them. The dates were fake, but convincing. They were doing a full review. Said it was likely nothing, just protocol. But I knew what this was. Ryan. He didn't just want to ruin me. He wanted to erase me. Strip away the respect I had earned, make me out to be a cheat. But what he didn't know was that I had locked down everything before I left that job. I even met with their internal legal team when I accepted my offer at Keystone, just to ensure there was no breach. They'd cleared it in writing. So I sent my documentation. Every exit form. Every NDA. Every final signed report. I even attached an email where I had asked, in writing, if I was authorized to reuse a generic template I'd created. They said yes. The review cleared me. But it pissed me off. Not because he almost damaged my career, but because I realized just how long he'd been planning this. See, the only way he could have created fake data that looked even close to real? He had to have copied it back when we were still married, back when I trusted him around my laptop, my cloud drive, even my work bag. I'd let my guard down for years. And the whole time, he'd probably been collecting ammunition. Just in case. That's when I stopped being angry and started getting surgical. I hired a private investigator. Not to stalk him. To find his pattern. His digital trail. Because people like Ryan always leave one. 2 weeks in, the investigator found something I hadn't expected. Ryan had taken a consulting gig, unofficially, with a small warehouse startup outside of Butler. Nothing major. But he'd been giving them Keystone's regional pricing structures. All under the table. It was enough. Keystone's legal team pounced. Not only did they slap the startup with a cease and desist, but they also sent Ryan an official notification, breach of professional integrity, misuse of trade secrets, and malicious interference with an active employee. I didn't even have to get involved. I just watched it happen. His side hustle collapsed. The startup fired him. And, because the complaint came from Keystone, the biggest up-and-comer in that space, it put another black mark on his name in the industry. I thought that might finally stop him. But I was wrong again. 3 weeks later, I walked out of work and saw a small package on my car. No return address. Inside? A single photograph. It was from the promotion party. The one where Susan made her little comment. Where Ryan agreed. I was standing in the background, holding a glass of wine, fake smiling. On the back, someone wrote, "You were never supposed to win." I filed a report immediately. The cops took it seriously again, especially since the restraining order was still in effect. But they said unless they could catch him physically placing it, there wasn't much they could do. I knew it was Ryan. But he was too careful now. Too quiet. So I started being careful too. I added cameras. Logged everything. Kept my guard up. I started to wonder, what does a man do when he's lost everything but still thinks you owe him? I didn't expect what came next. A few weeks passed. Things got quiet. Too quiet. No messages. No fake emails. No weird packages. It felt like the storm had finally passed, but my gut told me it wasn't over. Then one Friday, near the end of the workday, I got a call from Keystone's legal department. My stomach dropped. "Are you sitting down?" the attorney asked. Ryan had filed a lawsuit. Against me. Not the company. Not his former employer. Me, personally. He was claiming emotional distress, defamation, and loss of livelihood because of my actions. The suit said I targeted him, embarrassed him publicly, and destroyed his earning potential by intentionally sabotaging his reputation. The lawyer was calm. "It won't stick," she said. "He has no case. But we'll need to respond." I was speechless. And for the first time in a long time, scared. Not because I thought he'd win, but because it hit me I'd let him get too close. For too long. Even after I left. Even after the restraining order. Even after all the things I knew he was capable of. I thought staying cold and professional would protect me. That I could beat him at his own game. But Ryan didn't want to win. He wanted to pull me down into the mud with him. Make me lose control. Make me look crazy. And for a second, I almost did. I wanted to call him, to scream. To tell him he never deserved me, that he was nothing before I met him and would be nothing after. I wanted to tell him that I made the money, the connections, the future he tried to cling to. But I didn't. Instead, I met with Keystone's legal team. I gave them every file I'd saved since day one. Emails, voicemails, pictures, notes, testimonies from coworkers. Even screenshots of the fake data he tried to use to get me fired from my old job. And then I handed over the photo from the car. You were never supposed to win. It was enough. Keystone filed a countersuit for malicious harassment and reputational damage, but this time they didn't hold back. They sent notice to every vendor, partner, and contact that had any professional tie to Ryan. Not as a warning, just as part of a legal update. And it hit hard. By the time the case was dropped, which it was, less than 3 weeks later, Ryan had lost every remaining tie he had in the industry. He couldn't get work anywhere. Even contractors wouldn't touch him. And Susan? She called again. She didn't scream this time. She begged. "I don't know what happened to him," she said. "He's not the same." I almost felt sorry for her. For a moment. Then I remembered every time she looked down on me. Every insult dressed as advice. Every dig she made while Ryan stood there saying nothing. So I told her the truth. "No, Susan. He is the same. You just didn't see it before." Click. I thought that would be the last time I'd ever hear from either of them. But a year later, I got one more message. An email. From Ryan. No subject. No signature. Just 2 lines. "I'm leaving Pittsburgh. You win. But I hope it was worth it." I didn't reply. Because he was wrong. This wasn't about winning. It was about taking back the space he stole from me, inch by inch, year by year. It was about proving, even to myself, that I was never the distraction. I was the reason. And now? I'm the one they call when things need fixing. The one running meetings. The one building something real. He left behind the ashes. I'm building something that'll last. And, for the first time in a long time, I'm not sorry.